for many years to wait for her abusive husband. And he eventually was saved, totally reformed, and their marriage was restored. Where she was a Christian first, and he was not, and he was worthless and so on and so forth. But here is an example of that. And so whatever your particular circumstances, God will always give you the right answer as well as the grace and the strength to go with it. To fulfill the admonition to honor your husband, consider these suggestions for honoring him in powerful and practical ways. Number one, allow him to fail. Allow your husband to fail. Allow him to fail. Let me explain. Any woman is willing to honor a man who never fails, but there is no such man. Any woman is willing to honor a man who never fails, but there is no such man. Almost any woman is willing to honor a man when he succeeds or is doing well. What separates a mature wife from the rest is how she responds when her husband fails. How she responds. And husbands will fail sometime with another relationship. You might mess up. This, that, or the next thing. He might fail by maybe making bad investments, wasting the money. Or you name it. But what separates a mature wife from the rest is how she responds when her husband fails. How she responds to that situation. How she responds to that failure. And this is the test of true honor. This is the test of true honor. Every husband is bound to fail or do wrong things many times during his life. And so if a wife dishonors him at those times, she is certain to have a dishonored and wounded husband. If she dishonors him at those times when he failed, he made a bad investment, he lost a lot of money, or you name it. These are moments of failure. It's how she responds to it. A distinguished older couple was asked to share their testimony about marriage one Sunday morning in church. And they were asked because after more than 30 years of marriage, they still were madly in love. He treated her like a queen, and she treated him like a king. Listen to the story. The woman began by saying, at the beginning of their marriage, he was such a lousy husband. She said, when we first married, my husband didn't know how to manage money. In addition, we were broke, and we never spent any time at home. He never spent any time at home with me. He worked all of the time. He was insensitive to my needs and never prayed or led us spiritually. She was a Christian wife, of course. And so those were not her only negative comments about her husband. However, as she spoke, he smiled and stood proudly by her side. It was unbelievable. And then as she concluded her remarks, this godly woman said something every woman needs to hear. When my husband and I began to have all of our trouble early in our marriage, I knew I had a choice to make, she says. I could nag him and try to change him, or I could even leave him, but in my heart I knew none of these things were right. To nag him, or to leave him, or to try to change him. And so I finally decided to let him fail and let God correct him as I honored and I loved him, she said. Yeah? She said, I finally decided to let him fail, despite the fact that he was a jerk in many ways. She was obviously more mature than he was, spiritually and otherwise, and even in handling money and that sort of thing. And she says, so I finally decided to let him fail and let God correct him as I honored and I loved him. And after a period of time of praying for him, now that's the secret. That's the secret. You know, without prayer, it would not have happened. After a period of time of praying for him, she says, and letting him fail, I saw God begin to change my husband right before my eyes. Today I have a righteous husband who loves me and meets my needs. Ladies, she says, I didn't find this man the way he is today. And I didn't make him this way by nagging or demanding. I let him fail. And as I prayed for him and treated him with honor, and that's the secret. She prayed for him daily and she treated him with honor. And that is what made the difference in his life. Not the nagging and the rest of it, not putting him down and all that and threatening to leave him. No, no, no. What a powerful testimony. One will seldom, if ever, make progress by dishonoring others or trying to force them to change. So the thing is, in a marriage, you don't nag. You don't nag or try to force your husband to change. It would only be by praying for them, and that's the secret again. It's only by praying for them and treating them better than they deserve that they will change. Get that now? Let me repeat that. It is only by praying for them, number one, and treating them better than they deserve. Well, she did that for 30 years. That don't happen overnight, of course. That kind of thing don't happen overnight. Of course, you can express your disagreement to your husband at any time and about anything. You are not supposed to be a robot or a doormat. But when you tell him how you feel, do it in an honoring manner and then leave it with him as you pray for him diligently. Again, that's the answer. As you pray for him diligently. Just don't nag and nag and nag and nag. No, you pray. You see? You don't nag. You don't nag. Right? Of course, you express your disagreement to your husband at any time. You express your disagreement on about anything. But you are not supposed to be a robot or a doormat. But when you tell him how you feel, do it in an honoring manner. That's it. It's how you say things. It's how you raise your voices, your tone of voice and your pitch and all that sort of thing. Your expression, your facial expression. All that, your body language. When you tell him how you feel, do it in an honoring manner and then leave it with him as you pray for him diligently. You see, you got to mix it with prayer. You got to mix it up with prayer. All of these things that get, it's like doing a salad, you know. The only other option is to try to force him to change through nagging or manipulation. Hopefully, you have realized that you may seem to win a few battles that way, but you always lose the war with those methods. You win the battle. Notice now. You might win the battle, but you can lose the war. How is that? How is it that you can win the battle, but lose the war? You know why? Because in the process, you destroy a relationship. In the process, you destroy intimacy. Right? You won the battle, but you lost the war. You end up being right and you end up looking good. You put him down and make him look like he's stupid and he's worthless and all that sort of thing. How did that help the relationship? It destroyed it. How did that help intimacy? It destroyed it. That's what it does. When a woman nags and puts him down and all that sort of thing, and criticizes him and condemns him and calls him worthless and that destroys relationship, that destroys intimacy in a marriage. Where you could be right. You could be right in what you're saying, but look what it does to the relationship. Look what it does to the marriage. Look what it does to closeness and all that sort of thing. You always lose the war with those methods. Let your husband fail. That's the point. Let your husband fail. We promise you, if you will honor him even when he knows he should not be honored. If you honor him even in those situations, God will use it in a powerful way to deepen your husband's love for you as well as to deal with his heart. If you honor him, even when he knows he should not be honored, even when he knows that he's worthless, but you still honor him. After all, you're not married to the man. You lock. Number 2, honor him where you want him to be, not where he is. Honor him where you want him to be, not where he is. The first thing was allow him to fail, right? Number 2, honor him where you want him to be. Honor him where you want him to be as a man, not where he is. In Proverbs 31, it describes the virtuous woman. She is a model woman, a good example of how a righteous wife and mother is to behave. Her husband is honored in the gates of the city because of her. In addition to all of the other accomplishments, she is credited with being at least partially responsible for her husband's position of honor. She is. Your husband will rise to the level of your praise and honor if you keep praising him. And you keep honoring him, eventually he's going to try to rise to that. And this is why Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22 that the words that as unto the Lord, he says. As unto the Lord, right? In that verse. Wives, submit to your own husbands, right? Ephesians 5 and 22. Submit, he said, to your own husbands as unto the Lord. Your husband may not act like Jesus, no. But if you will give him the kind of respect and honor you would give Jesus, that's the point. He will rise to that level. He will rise to the occasion. He will rise to the occasion. If you give him the kind of respect and honor that you would give Jesus. The man, as worthless as he is, he will rise to that occasion. And the best way to get your husband's attention is by honor. By honor. And the best way to change your husband is by honor. You want your husband changed? You want to change him? You got to honor him. You want to get his attention? Give him honor. Show him honor and respect. The best way to get your husband to desire you and spend time with you is by honor. You honor him. If the man, if you always nag at a man, you think, why would he want to be around you? He don't want to be around you. You always nagging him, you always rowing, you always railing on him. Why would he want to be around you? Why would he even want to be home? Man, every time I go home, what's going on, man? Lord. I might say the wick, but I prefer to be the wick. I prefer to be the wick. And so because it is his deepest need, that is honor, it is your most powerful asset to honor him. Because that is his greatest need, to be honored, to be respected. And so providing honor for your husband is just as critical for him as his making you feel special and secure in his love is to you. Providing honor for your husband is just as critical for him as his making you feel special and secure in his love is to you. Number 3, cover your faults. This will be the last point. Number 3 is cover your faults and reflect his strengths. Cover his faults and reflect his strengths. This is the last point. And then we finish this next Sunday, God's willing. Next Saturday, God's willing. Cover his faults and reflect his strengths. Although you must be able to privately communicate your concerns, your hurts, and needs to your husband in an honoring way, you must cover his faults everywhere else. Oh, that is so critical. That is so critical, isn't it? That is critical. Although you must be able to privately communicate your concerns, your hurts, and needs to your husband in an honoring way, you must cover his faults everywhere else. Before your children, that is, cover his faults everywhere, including before his children. You don't talk about his faults before the children. To your parents, you don't, no. You don't share his faults, or you don't expose his faults to your parents, or to your siblings, or to your friends. To his friends and associates and so forth, you don't do that. You don't do that. Or to your neighbors, you don't do that. Do not expose his weaknesses. You don't expose your husband's weaknesses. I guess the same thing applies to a wife. You know, a husband should not expose, of course, it applies both ways. A husband should not expose his wife's weaknesses. That ain't nobody's business. You know. Let him know that he can trust you totally to honor him and to cover his faults. Whatever my faults, that's between me and you. That's between me and you. We can talk about that, we can laugh about that, we can work on that. That ain't nobody else's business. Because all they can do is talk about us anyway. They can talk about me. That's all they can do. They can put me down. They can put me down in public. And in some cases when a woman talks to another woman about her husband's faults, that woman will turn coat on her. That woman would use that as an inroad into that relationship. And she would share with him what your wife told me about you. But she can't deal with that, but I can deal with it. That's right. She can't deal with that, but I can deal with it. That's what women do. So a woman would be foolish to talk about her husband's weaknesses to another woman. Let him know that he can trust you totally to honor him and cover his faults. A man doesn't want to know that his wife got all his private stuff all over the world, all around the neighborhood, all over the family. Everybody in the family knows what's going on in our bedroom. Everybody in the family knows what's going on in my house. That the washer broke down, or we don't have a washer, or we don't have no electricity. That ain't that business. Or I can't pay the children's school fees. And then your mother started talking bad about me. What kind of husband you got? He's what to say? I said, what, this man can't take his own children's school fees? No.
Damage.
No. If there is a situation of abuse or other serious concerns you need to discuss with someone, go to your pastor or a Christian counselor whom you can trust, not to anybody, not to even your friends. Go to a professional, go to a pastor who's trained in counseling, who's trained in confidentiality. You don't go to any Tom, Dick, and Harry to talk your business with. The pastor ain't supposed to be discussing that, not even with his wife. Or a trained counselor. He ain't supposed to discuss that with nobody, not even his secretary. Go to your pastor or a Christian counselor whom you can trust. And the operative phrase there is, whom you can trust. Not any counselor, not any pastor, because there's some pastors you can't trust. There's some counselors you can't trust. There's some Christian people in the church you can't trust. There's some elders in the church you cannot trust. You talk your business to them, and the whole church know it by the weekend. But don't go to a friend or parent to uncover problems with your husband. Don't do that. That's a no-no. Unless your friends and family are very mature and discreet, doing so will cause problems. Problems. Amen? Amen. So God willing, next week we can deal with sex in marriage. Sex in marriage. And kindred fellowship, and then domestic support. We'll deal with that next Saturday, God's willing. In Jesus' mighty name.